Okay, welcome everybody. It is October the 20th, and we are pleased to have Allison Carnes here with us today. And she's with the Leslie Group, and she has helped set up our benefits package for our core team. And as you know, we've gotten to an exciting stage in our little company the last couple of months of starting to set up all the good things that real grown-up companies have, and things like benefits. And so Allison's going to be doing an overview of our benefits package, and then is available to answer any questions about kind of setup and logistics and all those fun things. And so I'll just turn it right over to Allison.
Perfect. Thanks, Dr. Samra. My name is Allison Cairns. I'm with the Leslie Group, and we are a benefits company. So we specialize in working with small to mid-size employers to design and implement benefit programs. So I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Samra earlier this year, and we talked about kind of what she was looking for in a benefit program. And we are an independent consulting firm, which means we aren't tied to any one insurance company. So after our discussions, I sort of went out and surveyed the market and went to 8 different companies to source out kind of the best, most competitive benefit program. And one of the cool things about benefits is it's a way to communicate corporate culture to your team and employees. And so one of the things that Dr. Samra really wanted to make sure that the benefit program did was look after each of the employees in the event that something happens. So whether that be an unexpected death or disability, or even just day-to-day expenses like medical and dental, that the program was really comprehensive. So there's sort of 2 big advantages to a group benefit program. One is it's non-medical. So when you join the program, all the benefits that I'm going to go through today, you get regardless of your previous medical history. Rather than if you were sourcing out an individual program, then they always ask medical questions and sort of look at your previous history. And then the other big advantage is the cost. So there are economies to scale. So it's more cost effective to look at a group benefit program, and you get better coverage than kind of the comparable options on the individual side. So there's sort of a few different things there. As Dr. Samra mentioned, my name is Allison Cairns. So I'm based in Alberta and look after clients in both Alberta and BC. And I want to thank everyone for your time today. I know everyone's really busy, and with COVID, things seem just to get busier and busier, and we keep thinking, oh, it'll slow down, it will slow down, and it hasn't. So really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk about the benefit program. We've booked an hour, but I don't think we'll need it. So I love kind of connecting with groups this size because it's way easier for it to be interactive. So as opposed to kind of waiting till the end for any of your questions, as stuff comes up and I'm going through the presentation today, just jump in, use the chat, raise your hand, whatever sort of works, and we can just cover off questions as they come up. Does that work? Awesome. All right. So today's agenda, we'll go through just kind of a high-level overview of the program and eligibility requirements. We'll chat a bit about single-family coverage, as well as I'll go through a coverage summary with Desjardins, so what's covered through the plan and kind of what's not. We also have a few preferred programs that you can access just by being an employee at Samra Psychology. And then the tail end of the presentation, I've obtained some slides from Desjardins. So I don't know if people have had the opportunity to go on and set up your online profile or not, but the slides at the end of the presentation just go through kind of the plan member website and what's available to you as a plan member. Is there anything kind of outside the agenda or specific that you wanted to get out of today's session? Because really our next kind of 45 minutes or hour together is really for you guys. So if there's something specific you want me to cover off or that you really wanted to get out of today's presentation, then let me know. Anything specific? No,
I would maybe just jump in here, Allison. And the one thing myself as well, I was delayed in doing my entire setup, unfortunately. And so what that meant is login codes and things. I took the time to, I was one-to-one with the rep, as you know, and also bugging you, Allison. But I got it all set up. But I do think taking our time with making sure if anyone's got any setup questions would be great, because I did actually find it was just became a little bit complicated, and I'm not sure. Yeah, just not sure if others have had the same issues or may have the same issues. So I think that piece would be great to
okay.
And then also the submission of claims. And I think that's going to be on here, but just so we're knowing how to do it on our app and just kind of the procedure and process.
For sure. And I think kind of the key there is making sure that you take a few minutes to get set up. And so if the time has lapsed where then your login isn't valid, that you will have to reach out to Desjardins to have it reset. And we do have a dedicated email address for all of our clients at the Leslie Group with Desjardins, because we have a preferred arrangement with them. So the Leslie Group and all of our clients can access kind of a fast-tracked email address. So you don't have to call the general toll-free number. So I don't know if Michelle or Dr. Samra has shared that, but I can certainly send it out after the presentation, or send it to you, Michelle, and you can kind of distribute to the team, because we have got a little bit of feedback that the toll-free number can have these kind of extended waits. And so rather than you waiting online, you can just email them and either ask for a call back or ask your question, and a designated sales rep or customer service rep, pardon me, will answer your questions.
Perfect. That sounds wonderful. Yeah, I can definitely send out that email after you send it to me. That would be perfect.
Sorry, I'm just making a note so I don't forget. Perfect. Okay, so what does a group benefit package mean to you? We looked at lots of different options in the marketplace, and kind of the cool thing about benefit programs is there's lots of flexibility. So your employer, Dr. Samra, kind of had the option to sort of add as much as she wanted to the program. And looking at it from a benchmarking perspective, if we compare it to other companies of similar size and similar industry, I can tell you that your benefits package that's being offered through Samra Psychology would be top 10% in the industry, which is amazing. You've got life coverage, disability, critical illness, health and dental. It's a really, really comprehensive package. So the program is offered through Desjardins. All the benefits are mandatory except for medical and dental. You have the option to waive your medical and dental if your spouse, so either your husband or wife, has coverage through their employer. If your spouse does have coverage, then you can either come on the program for health and dental or waive it. So you do have the option of either or. There is a 3-month wait period. So for any new employees that are starting, they need to meet that 3-month probation period before being eligible to join the program. And the group benefit program is for anyone that's full-time, working a minimum of 24 hours a week. A couple other questions that come up a lot when we do employee education sessions is common law spouse. So common law is after 12 months of cohabitation, and marriage would be from first day. And then for anyone in the group today that has dependent children, they're eligible to stay on the plan till age 21. Or if they're going to school full-time, they can stay on to age 25. So if they're going to anything post-secondary, university or college, then they can stay on the program. So I'll kind of jump into what's actually covered through the plan. So once you've joined the plan and set up your online profile, you will have access to all of this information online, as well as I can send a copy of the presentation to Michelle. So if anyone wants it, then you can get it from her as well, because it's just sort of a nice summary. But the program does have life and accidental death and dismemberment. So everyone in the group gets a flat $100,000 of coverage. So what that means is if you passed away, whoever your beneficiary is would get $100,000. If you don't name a beneficiary, then it would go to your estate. We do recommend that you actually name a beneficiary. It can be changed at any time. But if you don't name a beneficiary and it goes to the state, it can be subject to estate taxes and creditors. Rather than if you've named a beneficiary, then all that money goes tax-free to whoever is your beneficiary. And again, as I mentioned, it can change at any time. If you're naming a minor dependent as your beneficiary, then you'll also want to assign a trustee, and that's on the form. So if your child's 8 years old, then you would assign a trustee to sort of manage those funds for them. In addition to the life, there's also accidental death and dismemberment. So in the event that you passed away due to an accident, it actually doubles the face amount of the policy. So your beneficiary would get $200,000. And the other component is the dismemberment. So if you lost a hand, an arm, a leg, there's a partial payout for all of those types of events. So I don't expect you to remember all this, but if anything ever happened, this is where you could just reach out to myself or anyone at the Leslie Group on our team, and we can sort of walk you through how to make a claim, what's covered, that type of thing. So today's session is more just kind of give you a high level of what's covered through the plan. In addition to life coverage for yourself, there's also dependent life. So for anyone in the group that is single, dependent life won't apply to you, but you're also not charged for it. For anyone that's married or married with children, your spouse gets 10,000 of life coverage, and then each of your children get 5,000. And the dependent life coverage is really designed to help pay for final expenses. So burial or funeral costs in the event that something did happen.
And I'll just put an asterisk that I know this is not fun stuff for us to think about. And so they're just the things that we know and none of us will have to use.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what we hope, right? We do hope that you never have to use it, but I can tell you that we pay out claims or like help clients kind of file claims with insurance companies on a fairly regular basis. So no one ever gets insurance thinking that they're going to claim on their life or disability, but in the event that something does happen, them or their family sure are thankful that they have it. Yeah. Also included in your program is long-term disability and critical illness. So when it comes to disability, in the event that you couldn't work, either due to accident or sickness, you have the option to apply for employment insurance in the short term, and then insured through your program at Desjardins is long-term disability. So long-term disability would kick in after 16 weeks, and provided you continue to meet the definition of disability, then it would pay right through till your 65th birthday. So essentially what happens is your long-term disability then becomes your employment contract, because that's going to be your monthly income for every month that you can't work. And as I mentioned, it doesn't matter if the disability is due to accident or sickness, as long as you meet the definition of disability, which is unable to perform the regular duties of your occupation due to accident or sickness, you're eligible to claim. That's for the first 2 years of the contract. After that, it looks at, is there any job that you could do based on your education or prior experience? And if so, then they sort of look at, do you still qualify for disability? But again, in the event that that happens, we will be there to help you with the paperwork and through the process. The long-term, so everyone on the call today will have a different amount of long-term disability because it's tied to your income. So it's calculated based on 66 2/3 of your first $2,500 of monthly income, and then 50% of the balance up to $10,000. There is a non-evidence maximum, which means that as long as your income supports it, you're eligible for $2,500 of monthly benefit of long-term disability. If your income is higher than that, you're eligible to apply for additional coverage, but you have to medically qualify. So it's the only part of the group plan where it will actually ask medical questions to get that additional coverage. So you automatically get that $2,500 benefit, but if you want more, you would have to medically apply. So I think Dr. Samra, we had talked a little bit about that. So anyone that is eligible, you'll receive paperwork via Michelle or Dr. Samra that you're eligible, and here's the paperwork if you wish to apply. It's completely optional, so you can decide whether you want that additional coverage or not. There is a charge for it. So if you apply and you're approved, then you'll be charged additional premium for that additional coverage. If you decline the coverage, as in you don't want any additional, then you still get that $2,500 through the group program. One of the nice things about the long-term disability is we've structured it so that you as employees pay the premium on the long-term disability. But what that means is in the event that you ever have to claim on your disability, that full $2,500 a month is tax-free. So you don't pay any tax on that.
Great. And I've got a couple questions there. Allison, is the 66.67%, is that on gross income or is that on net gross income? Okay.
Correct.
I think you and I were going to separately connect about the non-evidence maximum just to see if there was any flex there. So why don't you and I potentially connect separately there? And the other thing that I just wanted to add is, in the unfortunate event, that anyone's sick for any extended time and not able to work, is that here in BC, we also have 15 weeks of employment insurance. And so you see that the decision to kind of make this plan that kicks in at 16 weeks was so that there would be full coverage. So if you're sick, you go through the BCEI, those sickness benefits are as long as you have a family doctor's note and aren't able to work, that kind of first pass is usually pretty good. And then in, any inadvertent event that anyone is off for any longer than that, then the long-term disability starts to kick in.
Yeah, exactly. Any questions on that? So moving on to the critical illness. Has anyone heard of critical illness? It is actually the fastest growing benefit in Canada right now. So critical illness is almost like a living life insurance. So it pays a lump sum benefit. So under your group program, everyone gets $25,000 of critical illness in the event that you're diagnosed with and survive one of the covered illnesses. And Desjardins has a really comprehensive critical illness policy. So there's 31 different covered conditions, and about 93% of CI claims, critical illness claims, are coming from heart attack, life-threatening cancer, or stroke. So that's really where we see the bulk of the claims coming from, but there's lots of other covered conditions like blindness, Alzheimer's, coma, that type of thing. So again, the kind of more detailed information is online if you want it, or in your booklet, but just to kind of give you a high level, that's what the critical illness is. The critical illness and the disability can either both pay out or pay out separately. So for example, if you had a heart attack, but were back at work within a month, you could be eligible to get your critical illness payout. So you get that $25,000, but maybe not qualify for disability because you weren't off work long enough. And that's fine. Both the benefits operate independently. If you had a life-threatening cancer, and let's say you were off for a year because you were going through surgery and then chemo and then radiation, you could potentially claim on both the long-term disability and the critical illness, and they don't offset to each other. So they work independently. And again, that critical illness amount is non-taxable.
And Allison, all of the details, the employee handbook that we have should itemize all of these in there. Is that
You
correct?
bet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
okay.
idea really of today's presentation and kind of the PowerPoint is kind of to give you like a higher level view of what's covered, because the booklet, I think, is like 70 pages long, right? So it's really, really detailed. This is more kind of high level. This is what's covered through the plan. But if you are looking for more details, or you're in a situation where you might have a claim, feel free to reach out at any time with questions. So moving on to the health and dental. So when we look at the life, the disability, the critical illness, those are all benefits that we don't see claims for very often, but when we do, they're big claims. So a big life claim or a long-term disability or a critical illness payout. The medical and dental on the other side are the benefits that are used way more often day to day, but they tend to be more kind of day-to-day type of expenses that you would incur for either yourself or some of your dependents. I do find when we do employee meetings, this is where more of the questions sort of come in, because they are the benefits that are used more often. So once you're set up with Desjardins, you will get, you can log on to the app, and then your benefit card is right on the app. So any provider that you go to that has direct billing, you will be able to just show them your benefit card, and then they can direct bill right to Desjardins. So things like prescriptions. So any pharmacy you go to, they'll be able to direct bill. So you'll want to make sure that your plan is all set up so that you can give the pharmacist the information. If you go to the same pharmacy on a regular basis, then once they have the information, it's not like you have to give it every time you go. But if you are going to a new pharmacy, then you'll want to make sure that you have your drug card. The nice thing about today is everyone has, well, just about everyone has a smartphone. And so if you can download it right onto your smartphone, then really we almost always have our phones with us. So you'll always have your drug card and drug information with you. When it comes to other components and direct billing, it sort of depends on the practitioner. So what I mean by that is there is also coverage for things like massage and physiotherapy that we'll get into through the plan. Some practitioners are set up to direct bill and some aren't. So if you go for physio, let's say, and your physiotherapist is set up, they'll be able to direct bill to Desjardins, and then you just pay out of pocket whatever the copay is. If they're not set up, then what'll happen is you'll pay for the whole service. So if let's say it's $80, you'd pay the $80, and then you can just submit the claim through the app. It's usually the easiest way to do it. When it comes to the dental component of it, again, it will depend on the dental office. So some dental offices will direct bill and then you just pay the copay. Other dental office will have you pay it all up front, but submit it on your behalf, and then the money just gets reimbursed to you. So depending on what dentist you go to will depend on how they're set up. Does that make sense? Yeah, getting some nods. Perfect. So
and I've got, oh, sorry, Allison, I've got one question. And if you're getting to it, I'll let you just logically get to it in your order here. But my question might be for someone that has a spousal plan. If let's say they have, let's say not everything is covered through their spousal plan, are you able to reimburse like dental? Let's say a spouse's plan covers 80% and then our plan covers 80%. Is there an ability to get the rest of that reimbursed?
Sure, great question. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, if your spouse has coverage, you have the option to join the plan or waive the plan. So if you waive the plan, then there'd be no coordination of benefits because you don't have coverage through SAMRA. If you come on the plan and both the husband and the wife have coverage, then yes, what you can do is do a COB, which is coordination of benefits. So how it works, and dental offices and pharmacies are very familiar with coordination of benefits, and every single insurance company in Canada works the exact same way. So one of the nice things in the insurance world is all the insurance companies got together like 50 years ago and said, okay, we need to simplify this process. Can we all get on the same page? So the nice thing is, regardless of who you have your coverage through, who your spouse has their coverage through, it's the same process. So if the claim is for yourself, your plan is always first payer. If the claim is for your spouse, so let's say your husband, then his plan would be first payer. If there's anyone on the call today that has children, how it works for the children is whoever's date of birth is earlier in the year, that plan is first payer. So for example, if you're born in January and your spouse is born in June, all the kids' stuff goes on your plan first and then through your spouse's. And again, every insurance company works the same way. And pharmacy offices or dental offices are really familiar with it because this has been the rules for decades. So that you don't really need to know all the details. They'll do it for you right at point of sale. So how it works is if, let's say, you were filling a prescription and it's for yourself and the plan pays 80% and your prescription's $100, because then the math is super easy in my head. $80 will get direct billed to Desjardins. You normally would then pay the copay. So you would give the pharmacist $20. But if your spouse has coverage, then what they'll do is take that 20% copay and they'll bill it to your spouse's plan. So you essentially fill your prescription, both plans coordinate, and you're not out of pocket any money. Clear as mud? Perfect. So the drug coverage is 80%, which means that the plan covers 80% and then there's a 20% copay up to $5,000 a year. And then in BC, of course, there's pharmacare as well. In the event that you or one of your dependents is on a prescription medication that's more than $5,000 a year and not eligible through pharmacare, let me know, because there are some programs out there. So there's patient support programs. There are some of the pharmaceutical companies will offer rebates where part of it will go through your group plan and then they'll pay the difference. And sometimes there's trials as well. So depending on what drug you're on in the situation, we can try to help navigate to see if there's other programs out there that can pay the top up. We don't see a ton of high drug claims, but we are starting to see more and more. So as we as we see more advancements in medical technology and the introduction of biologics, we're seeing more high claims, but certainly not on a day-to-day basis. It's more an exception. So if you fall into that category and you're having a hard time navigating to try to get coverage, please reach out and we'll help you navigate it. In talking to different employees, I've also found that a lot of the specialists, so if you had, I don't know, rheumatoid arthritis and you were taking Revocate as an example, a lot of the specialist office actually already have a lot of information on how you can navigate the patient support programs as well. But if you need help, please reach out. The program is designed to cover generic drugs. In the event that there is no generic, it would cover brand name, no problem. If there's a medical reason you can't take the generic, then there's a form that you and your doctor would complete, and then it could be approved through the plan that it will cover the brand name. So we've got lots of options there. Yes.
Is there any specific kinds of prescription drugs that are covered versus some that are not, or is just like for all the prescription drugs?
It is, great
Because, like,
question.
sorry, I remember when my daughter was born, she has a heart condition, and there were some of the medications that she needed were covered in the plan of my wife's plan, and some of them were not. So that's why.
So it's a great question. So the formulary is an open formulary. So it's a very generous formulary as far as what is covered. It does stipulate that it needs to be a prescription by a medical doctor to be eligible through the plan, and that it needs to be approved by Health Canada for that condition. So lots of group benefit programs are designed to cover drugs that have proven efficacy for that condition. So I think sometimes what can happen, and I know I've run into this with my son who takes multiple medications, is if that drug hasn't been approved for that condition and it's more a trial, or it's something that specific doctor has found effective, it's not necessarily going to be covered through the plan. So it would depend. If they get to the stage that it is proven to be effective and Health Canada adds it as one of the eligible conditions that that's covered for, then it would be covered through the plan. Go ahead, Dr. Sam.
Oh, no problem. I didn't mean to cut you off. If that circumstance were to arise, is there ever any request that someone is able to make under the plan, or is it just a firm non-option if that approval is not there?
I always think it's worth asking.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if you run into that, let us know. And that's something that that we can do here at the Leslie Group. So we can pursue it with Desjardins to see, okay, is there a way we can get the drug covered? If so, then, under what stipulations or what additional information is needed to have that drug approved? So yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I like how you think, Allison. Always ask.
Yeah, right. The worst that happens is they say no, and we see if there's a patient support program or another avenue, but it's always worth asking the question. Absolutely. So other components, so the most used component of the health plan is normally the prescription drugs. And then the second most would be the paramed practitioners, and we'll get to that on the next slide. But other things that are covered would be things like travel. So I know there's not a ton of travel right now with COVID, but fingers crossed as we kind of get further down the road and that we will be sort of resuming regular travel again. So the travel coverage is for anyone that has medical coverage. So for you and your dependents that are on for medical, it's 180 days per trip and a $5 million lifetime maximum, which is huge. So really good travel coverage. There's also coverage for semi-private hospitals, ambulance, orthotics, orthopedic shoes, appliances and equipment. So things like braces, crutches, wheelchairs, sleep app machines, all those types of things would fall under appliances and equipment. In the event that you needed dental work that was due to an accident, then it's actually covered under the health program at 100%, which is amazing. We had a client whose son played junior A hockey actually in BC, and he took a puck to the mouth, and his dental bill was $18,000. Like, just crazy. So because it was an accident, it fell under the accidental dental, and it was covered 100% through the plan, which is amazing.
Allison, for these, so orthotics, orthopedic shoes, and the practitioners, are these at, is it an 80% deductible? So there's that copay on, so when it says 200 a year, that's up to a max of 200, but at that 80% reimbursement? Okay.
Yes, so you as the claimant are paying 20% out of pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it. And so the practitioners are things like massage, chiropractor, physio, psychology, and it's covered at $500 per person, per practitioner per year. So if you have family coverage, you have $500 for each of those practitioners, and your spouse has $500 for each of those practitioners. So really comprehensive coverage.
And to add here, it was not all plans have mental health benefits, but of course, this is the business that we're in. So there is, of course, as you see there, psychology. Although it reminds me, Michelle, we might need to take a look if it's a registered psychologist or a counselor. This would be great to know for our plan.
Sure. But yeah, and I'll dig into that actually.
Yeah, and or if it's both, because some plans, I actually feel like I should have looked into the specifics, Allison, but sometimes we've seen plans that come into our practice for reimbursement that will both have a registered psychologist amount, and then counselors are in a separate category. I feel like it's combined in our plan from what I remember, but if you wouldn't mind letting us know, that would be fantastic.
Okay. Survivor benefits. So in the event that you passed away and you have family coverage, your spouse and your children actually stay on the plan for 2 years at no charge. There's no premium being charged, just so that they can continue benefits until your spouse can kind of sort something out. And there is no termination age. So as long as you continue to work full time, you're 24 hours a week, you are eligible to stay on the health and dental benefits. And although there's no coverage for vision care, as in glasses or contacts, there is coverage for eye exams. So for adults, it's $100 every 24 months. And for dependent children, because their eyes change more often, it's $100 every 12 months. So just before I move on to dental, any questions under the extended health, under the medical? No? And we can always come back to it. So, but we'll pivot here to dental. So under the dental, similar to the health, there's no deductible, which is great. And then reimbursement is either 80% or 50%, depending on what it's for. So basic dental is covered at an 80% copay. So again, the plan covers 80%, and then you would pay that 20% copay out of pocket. And that's for things like cleanings, fillings, x-rays, so all your kind of day-to-day dental type of procedures. And then, major is covered at 50%. So major would be things like crowns or bridges, and it's a combined annual maximum of $1,500 per year. And again, for those of you that have family coverage, it's you have $1,500 and your spouse or each of your children also have $1,500. If you find that the plan is not reimbursing at that 80% or the 50%, it could be that your dentist is charging over and above the fee guide. So if they are, then you might notice that the reimbursement isn't quite 80%, and that could be the explanation behind it. And you can always ask your dentist if they charge at the fee guide. Some do, but not all of them. Recall exams are once every 12 months. So that's how often you can go back to get your teeth cleaned. But if you wanted to go back to just get in scaling unit, so one scaling unit is 15 minutes in the hygienist chair. So if you wanted to go back more often than once every 12 months, you can. The recall exam is more that piece where the dentist comes in to do that quick check of your mouth to make sure everything looks good. But if you want to go back and just get your teeth cleaned with a hygienist, you can do it more often. We do recommend obtaining a predetermination for any major dental work. So anything that's going to be more than kind of $300 or $400, we do recommend a predetermination. And what that is your dental office will actually send a quote to Desjardins, and then Desjardins will come back and tell you what's covered through the plan. So it just helps you make an educated decision on if you want to proceed with the dental work and that there's no surprises at the end as far as what's covered through the plan or what potentially isn't covered through the plan. And just like on health, as long as you continue to work full-time, you're eligible for your dental benefits.
Great. And is the dental similar to the medical in terms of how the spousal plans work, where I can't remember what you called it, but the copay situation, that if there's a leftover, they can go in and use the other one on the other plan, all the same. Okay. And then cleaning. So did I understand right? Like in theory, you could go get your teeth cleaned 3 times a year, as long as it's not meeting the max. Is that right? That it's the hygienist cleaning that's no limit. Or is there a limit there too? Because I know I've had a plan before that was 9 months, and I remember it being confusing and knowing what you're allowed to do versus not allowed to do.
Yeah, so what I'll do is just check the number of scaling units under the plan, but I want to say it's probably around 10. And so again, one scaling unit is 15 minutes in the hygienist chair. So if that, and the average person uses 2 to 3 scaling units per visit. So if you have 10 scaling units through the plan, and again, I'll double check that and then maybe just funnel everything through you, Michelle, and you can kind of send it out to the group. So if that's the case, then yeah, you could go 3 times a year, right? If you use 3 times each time, 3 units each time. Yeah. And then
that much these days. What a strange time with COVID, hey?
Yeah, is it ever? Yeah. And to answer your first question, yes, coordination of benefits works exactly the same on health and dental. Yeah. So a preferred program. So I see at least one person in the group wearing glasses. We do have an optical program with Loblaws. So it gives you 20% off lens and frames, and then 10% off contact lenses. So if you choose to get your glasses or contacts at any of the Loblaws. I had mentioned earlier in the program or in the presentation, Innovi Cares helps to bridge the gap between what's covered in your plan on a generic drug and the mandatory. So if you really wanted that brand name drug, you can use Innovi Care to pay the difference between what's covered through the plan on generic and the brand name. If there's a medical reason, then you can actually apply for a permanent kind of exception to have it approved. But if it's just personal preference, then there are pharmaceutical programs out there that do it for you.
Sorry, Allison, can I just clarify that? Because just to make sure that I'm clear. So this is just an extra, like I just saw on the bottom, it says you can just register for free.
For free. Yeah, for free.
So this isn't part of the planned direct, but I guess it kind of is indirectly. So this previous question about the brand name, this just becomes an application process to kind of veto that. Is that how this works?
Yeah, so I'll give you the history of it, and then the program actually might make more sense. So in Canada, when pharmaceutical companies come out with a new drug, it's patent protected, which means no other company can come out with that drug or produce a generic form for a period of time. So if, let's say, the patent protection is 10 years, and the whole idea behind it is pharmaceutical companies invest a lot of money into R&D, right? Research and development to bring drugs to the market. And so they need a period of time to be able to recoup the R&D costs. But what's happened is And in lots of drugs. So good examples would be like Crestor, Lipitor, right? So things for high blood pressure, cholesterol, where we see a lot of the population over the age of 45 taking those drugs, and they've been on the market a long time. So they're all off of patent. So now all those drugs have generics. So what's happened is the pharmacy companies have said, how can we try to get some of that market share back? So what they've done is the pharmaceutical companies have come out with basically their own drug card. So what you see on the bottom there is an actual drug card. So when you so you register online, you just print off, it asks you what drugs you take, and then you can print off this drug card. And then what happens when you go to the pharmacy? You present your Desjardins drug card because it will pay the cost of the generic. And then this drug card gets you the difference between generic and brand name. And then the pharmacy fills a brand name prescription. So the reason that the pharmacy companies have done it is because they're losing market share to the generic. So they're saying we rather fund part of the cost to keep our market share and have people keep using our brand name drugs.
Very sneaky of the pharmaceutical companies.
It's interesting.
Good for the user, but interesting because they're still making crap loads of money on it, right?
And on average, a generic drug is about 20% the cost of a brand. So if the brand name drug is $100, the generic will be somewhere in that $18 to $20 range.
Okay.
So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, and this is great to know. So at least certainly from my end, I don't know about everybody else, but I think I missed this and I was kind of delayed and get everything set up on my end. So Michelle, when you send this out to everybody, do you mind just putting that URL just to make sure that it's flagged to register as well if and as needed? And then
yeah, and not every drug is on InnoviCares, but lots of them are. And it's handy if taking a brand name drug is important to you, or if it's your preference and you can do it for no extra cost, then this is the way to do it. Yeah. And then the last part of the presentation is really just some screenshots on Desjardins. So again, if you haven't already had the opportunity, I would encourage you to register online because you can access your drug card, any plan details, you can submit claims, and Desjardins has spent a lot of resources developing kind of their online platform to provide different kind of health and wellness resources to employees. And we'll kind of go through a little bit of that today. So Desjardins has been around for over 100 years. I don't know if people have heard of Desjardins or not, but they're one of the top 5 life insurance companies in Canada, and they insure almost 2 million Canadians. So they've got lots of market share. So when we look at the online tools, first, you have to register on the secure site. Sorry, my meeting notes are on my other screen. So if I look like I'm looking over here, I'm just looking at the notes. So first, you have to register on the secure site. And it's easy. You just go to desjardinslifeinsurance.com/plan member, and then click on access our online services. And then you just follow the online instructions. So you'll need the information from your drug card to be able to register because it has your plan number, and then each of you will have your own certificate number. So you're going to need both of those pieces of information to be able to register online. If you've already registered online with a previous pension plan, then you can actually merge your same ID and password. So if anyone does have a group RSP through Desjardins or has previously, then you can merge that. So on the secure site, you'll find all kinds of useful information and features for managing your plan. So everything from your insurance booklet, how to submit claims online, if you need to access any claims report for income tax purposes, so you can write off any of the copay that you've paid out of pocket. You can use as a medical tax credit on your personal tax return at the end of the year. So one of the nice things online is you can go on and just print a nice clean report. So if you haven't kept all your receipts along the way, you can access it right online. You can also print your drug card in case you lose it, or you need to give it to your spouse, or if you've got a child away at university, something like that, you can go on and print it. And then you also have the option to update information. So if you moved, you need to update your personal address. Let's say you change banks and you want to update your banking information, anything like that, you can do online. So this is the Desjardins homepage. And once you're on the homepage, you'll see it's kind of divided into 4 different sections. So the top menu bar has 4 main sections. And so I know it's kind of small. I don't know if you can quite see it or not, but it's submit a claim, claims history, tools and resources, and your account. And so we'll kind of run through all of those today. And then in that center section for your information is the news center. So that's where like Desjardins puts kind of new announcements or features, or if they're launching something new. And then on the right-hand side here, you'll have the banners that are highlighting your plan, like Health is Cool 360, which is their wellness platform. Drug cost simulator. So if you've got a prescription for a new drug and you wanted to know what it costs, you can go in there, plunk in the information, it will tell you. And then at the bottom of the page are kind of quick links to features that people use most often. So like it's usually claim submission and direct deposit, right? So if you're going online, it's usually for one of those things. Oh, I went too far. Let's go back one here. There we go. When you click on processed claims, you'll see all the claims that have been processed in the last 28 days, even the ones that you submitted on a paper form. And then you can search specific claims by dates, category, or person. So you can see that. And if you click on the claims reports for income tax purposes, so again, usually people are accessing that kind of January, February for the previous year, you'll get a list of all the healthcare claims you've submitted. Oops. All the healthcare claims you've submitted to date and how much you've claimed, what you paid out of pocket. And then if we move on to the next tools and resources tab, you'll find information about your plan and then links to some of the features. So the Health is Cool 360 wellness platform, it provides health related content and services to help optimize your health. There's a resource center, frequently asked questions, forms, and then the drug cost simulator. Under your account tab, you'll find all the details of your group insurance account. So your personal information, an overview of the benefits, and access to your insurance booklet. So again, if you're looking for more detailed information on paramed practitioners or what's covered under the critical illness, that's where you'd find it. Your payment card, which again, you can print. Your dependent and coordination of benefits information. So if you and your spouse are coordinating benefits, all the information will be in there. As well as your account history, including any transactions and claims you've made online. So there's several ways you can submit claims. So you can use your payment card at the drugstore or dentist. So where the practitioner just submits direct to Desjardins. That obviously is the easiest one because all you have to do is show it to them and then they'll submit it for you. You can do it online through their secure site. You can use the Claim 360 mobile app on either your smartphone or a tablet. You can use a paper form. We see that less and less. So when we look at paper forms now, less than 10% of claims being submitted are paper form, but Desjardins still does offer it as an option. And the point of service claim submission.
Allison, can I just jump in there? Is that, so Claim 360, that's the same as Omni now, right?
Mm-hmm.
There isn't another, because it doesn't come up as Claim 360. It's Omni by Desjardins is their new title now.
Oh, yeah. So it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah. And what happened was they changed the platform it was being offered on, which actually doesn't really impact users other than it's a better platform. So they're now using TELUS, which is probably the most used platform in our industry.
Okay,
Does
so
that sound
we don't
fine?
go onto any TELUS app though. It's just the Omni one. So it's OMNI. And actually, if you put into the App Store Claim 360, the Omni by Desjardins comes in. And I think that should be in the information that was circulated to everybody about their benefits. Just as a fun factoid, because I had so many issues getting the login stuff set up. Anyways, the Desjardins website is a bit archaic, and even the Desjardins person to me said, just use the app. They said the website is, you have to register on there, but they basically were like, just use the app for all claim submission because it's very clunky on the website. And that certainly, I haven't used it yet to submit anything, but I just found even the registration was a little bit clunky there. So, and Allison, does that resonate with what your experience has been on kind of the app versus the site?
Yeah, for sure. And like, to be perfectly honest, most insurance companies have invested the technology dollars in the app because that's what people are using, is the mobile app, right? Like there's people that don't even have home computers anymore because our phones just do so much, right? That everything's done either phone or on your tablet. So yeah, absolutely. Does anyone not have a smartphone? Everyone does. So yes, I think it's good feedback, and that's the route I would encourage everyone to go, is to download the app. Submitting a claim. I don't know if anyone's actually submitted a claim yet, but it's honestly on the mobile app, it's super easy. So to submit a claim through the secure site, you just hit submit a claim. So it's pretty intuitive from that perspective. So to be able to submit claims online, you'll have to sign up for direct deposit. So the nice thing about that is once you submit a claim, claims are usually processed. It depends on the type of claim, but on average, claims are usually processed in 3 to 5 business days. And then the money is just automatically deposited into your account. And then Desjardins will send you an email notification to let you know that the claim's been processed. So then you know it's been processed, here's what's being deposited in your account, and then you should see the money in your account within the next day or so. So it's pretty easy. So again, as Dr. Samra mentioned, Claim 360 has actually been rebranded to be Omni, but it's all the same. And so this is kind of what the mobile app looks like. So it can be used on Apple or Android devices. It's obviously free to download. You can see your prescription drug coverage, your reimbursement history, manage your list of health practitioners. So if there's a massage therapist or physiotherapist that you go to on a regular basis, and then access to Cool 360 Wellness. There's also a contact us button. So if you do have questions, again, you can either do it that way through the mobile app, or I'm going to send out the dedicated email address to Michelle as well. So you can also just email them. So for anyone that has medical coverage, you also will have travel coverage embedded in that medical. So the travel coverage is for you and all of your dependents. You can download their travel app. So the travel app is a separate app. You can store your medical information like allergies, blood type, prescriptions, a list of medications you take right in the travel app. So it's kind of nice where if you're traveling to another country, then you have all that information right there. And then I mentioned Health is Cool 360 a couple times, and this is their wellness platform. So it's all embedded in the program, so there's no additional charge to access it or use anything in there. It's easy to navigate, and it's all based on Canadian content, which I actually really like. You can access it through your regular app, so it's not a separate app. And the platform has 4 sections. So the first section is healthy living. So you'll find advice, information, medical news. Workplace health is important, and you can discover why sort of in this section. So I don't know if you can see the screen, but it's stuff from why is sitting bad for you, mindfulness, those types of things.
Xavier, we need to look at it more and see if there's any of our digital resources that we can pass over.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the third section under Health is Cool 360 is health tools. So you can find a platform for health related services. So you can find out about the state of your health by filling out an online questionnaire. And then it identifies potential health risks and solutions that can help improve your condition or prevent illness. So the Health Pact program offers personalized guidance by phone to help you manage health concerns. And you can consult the information tool for preventative medical screening for certain diseases according to your age. So a big one is heart health and diabetes. So we're seeing a huge increase in diabetes. And so there's a lot of push from insurance companies on the education piece on prevention and how to be healthier. So the health evaluation tool is an online questionnaire that's available not only for you, but also your dependents. And it helps identify potential risks to your health and possible solutions for improving it. So you get a clear picture of your health according to 8 of the following topics. So current health and previous health history, physical activity and fitness, nutrition. Number 4 is alcohol and tobacco use, sleep, stress management, workplace environment, and lifestyle. So once you've completed the evaluation, you get a personalized report and health advice specific to your situation and how you've answered the questions. And the tool is 100% confidential, and the results aren't shared with anyone or with your employer. So when you're sharing that information online, just know that any of your answers are protected. And then we've just got a couple slides here to close it out. So once you've completed the questionnaire, the nice thing is you get your results right away. So a green check mark means that you don't need to take any immediate action and that you're sort of on the right track and doing well. An orange exclamation mark means that you have some work to do in the area to improve your state of health in that area. And a red X means that you definitely have something to do in that area. In addition, you'll receive an overview of your results as well as an action plan for each of the topics. And again, it's for you and your dependents, and it's included at no charge. So appreciating that everyone's busy, it is a pretty cool tool to give you some kind of pointers on how you can be healthier. The platform is available via the plan member site or the mobile app. Again, most people access it via the mobile app, and it's under the tools and resources section. If you have questions or require further information from a health specialist, then there is a toll-free number. So you can see the toll-free number right on the app and the hours. So it's 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then here's the customer contact info. So again, it's right on the mobile app. So if you have questions, you can call, or I would encourage you to use the dedicated email line. So if you click on the email on the mobile app, it just goes to the general email, which you can use. But the fastest way you're going to get a response if it's time sensitive is to use the dedicated one for our Leslie Group clients. And that's it. So any questions?
I've got a couple of questions, Allison. One is, what is the kind of calendar year of the benefit? So for most, kind of they got activated September 1st. So does that mean it goes from their start date until August 31st? And let's say there were then staggered start dates happen, or is it end of calendar year? So for example, to get the $500 coverage for your, paramedical professional.
Yeah, so let me double check. If I'm going by memory, I want to say calendar year, but I will double check and then include it in my email to Michelle. So what'll happen is come January 1st, it will all reset.
Oh, so then even though, is it prorated for the year? So meaning, would there still be the full amount of coverage for this year, even though, most people will have only been on the plan a few months?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if we could definitely get clarification on that to know for sure, that'd be wonderful.
Sure.
To know. And then the second question was around just how things work when someone has opted out. So the most common situation is have a partner that has benefits. So they're opting out of medical and dental, but the core elements of life insurance, critical illness, of course, are all staying. But then if someone wants to get back on, could you remind me, because I know you shared high level with me that there's some more medical qualification and there's a few parameters around that.
Sure. Yep. So if someone's, as you mentioned, if someone's spouse has coverage, they have the option to opt out of health and dental. If the spouse loses coverage, then they can opt into the plan, come back on the plan for medical and dental, as long as it's done within 30 days of their spouse losing coverage, because it's a change in circumstance. If more than 30 days has lapsed, so let's say my husband loses coverage, whatever, October 1st, and then I come to you next February saying, oh yeah, I need to join the health and dental plan because my husband no longer has coverage, I would actually have to complete medical evidence. So I'd actually have to answer medical questions to then be able to join the medical and dental program. Yeah, so really important if you have that change in circumstance that you let Michelle or Dr. Samra know within 30 days.
And then how about the situation for a spouse? So if somebody gets their own medical and dental, the spouse is not on it because they've got their own plan. And then, but there's say a later decision to say, oh, we'd like to add the spouse or family member to the plan.
They'd have to medically qualify.
Okay, so same deal. So if they're on it from the outset for everybody, there's no medical qualification, but if there's a delay, then there is.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Right.
the general rule is if there's a change in circumstances and your spouse has lost coverage, then they can come on the plan, no problem. If they've just decided they now want to use both plans, the idea behind it is they're probably on an expensive drug or they need a bunch of dental work. Like there's a reason, something has happened where now they want to join the plan. And so there's some potential anti-selection that goes on with that. And so then it's medically underwritten. But if it's on the onset or there's a change in circumstance, then that's different. I don't know if that kind of helps, but that's really where underwriters are just trying to manage the risk. So the rules are all designed for here, you know, here's kind of the eligibility requirements. You can't pick and choose when you come on the plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And the idea is that to avoid, I guess, someone getting a health issue and then saying, oh, now I thought about it and I'd like to be on before, right? And so, and then finally, and you kind of touched on it, the specific information about claims details, et cetera, even as plan administrator, I don't have access to for staff. So just so you, right?
Yeah.
I'm accurate there, right, Allison?
Correct. Yeah. Because of privacy, Desjardins won't share with us or with you any individual claim information for any employee or dependent.
Yeah. So I'll have the high level stuff as we set up the plan, of course, kind of the employee information we have, but anything on what you're reimbursing amounts, which providers, I don't have any access to that. So just
you don't
underscore
know
that for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually a good point. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allison. That was really great. I know when I got the pile of materials, I kept procrastinating because it's a 70-page document and it's going through all the details. So this was certainly for me was super, super helpful to get the lay of the land. And maybe we'll just do a round robin to check in with everybody on just everything sitting well. Any questions? Maybe Donnell, I'll turn it over to you first.
Yeah, no, everything seems really clear. I think it's all very straightforward. Yeah, I don't have any questions specifically until they possibly come up, but I think everything makes sense so far.
Awesome. Xavier, anything else on your
Yes, I'm here. No question whatsoever. It was pretty much straightforward. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And Michelle.
I do have a question. I just want to make sure that this is like all standard, like across Canada, because I'm not in BC. So I just want to make sure that there's no, like Ontario's drug plan is going to be different than BC's drug plan or something like that. So that was really my only question.
So I had referenced BC Pharmacare because I actually thought everyone was
Right.
in BC, and now that you mention it, Dr. Samra did tell me that, so my apologies. No, so are you in Ontario?
Yes.
Yeah, so BC Pharmacare obviously wouldn't apply to you, but yes, you just use
Right.
your drug card, your paramed practitioners. The dental fee guide is based on province of residence, so it'll be based on what's reasonable and customary in Ontario as opposed to BC. So yeah, it's no problem.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that was my only question, as I'm not on the benefits yet, but soon. So I
Soon.
just wanted to clarify that before.
Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, and
Thank
Desjardins
you
a
so much.
national company. Yeah, and Desjardins national. So it doesn't matter what province you're in, the benefit card will work everywhere.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Questions? Well, thank you everyone for your time today. Again, I know these are busy, crazy times, so I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day to spend with me. We've recorded it. I've got a few takeaways, so I'll get those answers and get them off to Michelle this week. And if anything comes up, please don't hesitate to reach out. You guys have a really good benefit program, and I want to thank Dr. Samra for all the time and effort that you've put into it. It's not easy designing a program from scratch and rolling it out, and you've been great to work with, so thank you.
Well, thank you. The feeling's mutual, Austin. So thank you for all your help. I know I've had lots of questions and, and things that have come along. So really appreciate this and appreciate your time and letting us record this as well. So thank you.
You bet. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Take care and stay safe and healthy. And again, you know where to find us. So if anything comes up, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Great, thank you. And maybe the rest of our core team can just stay back for a minute and I'll stop the recording and have a good rest of your